So did you ever have a vision for a project and then completely pivot midway? That's exactly what happened here. I got this pumpkin from the Dollar Tree for $1, and I wanted it to be on a stand and to have like a white and a black vibe to it, and I knew we wanted a long stem. So what I did was I gave it a coat of sealer, and then I painted it black so that I could put the white napkin over it, and then it would have the black background. It would sort of, give it a little bit of dimension. And then I put the napkin on top of it, and I distressed it with the white, and I just kept on going with my vision. So I secured the pumpkin head to the base using a wooden dowel, and I put a cork in the top of it so that I had something to attach my stem to. What I did was I took a brown paper bag and I gave it a coat of brown paint, and I like really went heavy on that paint. I wanted to saturate that paper bag so that it was really wet, and then I let it dry overnight because it was really wet and it just needed that. So when I came in to work with it, it was kind of really thick and heavy, which is exactly what I wanted for the stem. So then I went and I took some tin foil and I kind of gave it a shape. I wanted it to be long, and the tin foil was long, but not as long as I wanted it because the paper bag still needed some extra space because I really wanted it long. So I took the brown paper bag and I rolled it up and I just kind of crinkled it with my hands. I just, rolled it and twisted it, and just to give it a little bit of, little texture. And then what I did was I wrapped it around that tinfoil form, and I didn't glue it to the tinfoil. I just glued it on itself so that I could then twist it and manipulate it into the shape that I was looking for. So as I'm creating this stem, what I'm doing is I'm taking a lot of hot glue and I'm just spreading it all over the stem. And then what I'll do is I will give it a roll and just grab it and secure it as tight as I can. And then I will twist it and I will lay down some more hot glue, and then I will squish it again and then give it another twist. And I just keep going until I am getting the look that I want. I just want to make sure that I have it really good and secured and that there is still that crinkly effect. So as I go and the paper bag needs to be thinned out a little bit, what I'll do is I'll just tear a little bit off and just keep going until I get the look that I'm looking for. So when I get to the base of the pumpkin stem where it's going to meet up with the pumpkin, what I do is I make sure that that is fat enough to spread so that it kind of looks like, not leaves, but like the stump of the stem, basically, where it would meet up with the pumpkin. And I make sure that inside I have a hole big enough to go over that caulk that I have there, because that's what's going to get glued. The caulk is going to get glued to the tin foil inside the stem, and that's what's going to secure it. And then I'm also going to use some E6000 just to give it a little extra security when I attach it to the pumpkin. And then I'm going to let that dry overnight. So it was at this point that I started thinking about shifting gears on this pumpkin. It looked good. The decoupage came out exactly the way it should. It was, nice. It was black and white, and the stem was looking good. It was, staying nicely, and it was taking shape. But it just was too plain for me. So I had another one of these styrofoam pumpkins that I was working with for another project, and you can see it there on the right. I had cast already some of the leaves and acorns from the IOD Fleur DeLis Mould, and they were already dry and sealed. You could see them there. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to use those on this project because it needed something. The black and white and the brown just wasn't working for me. It just really needed more. So I'm adding these leaves to give the pumpkin a little more dimension. And that's when this whole project just started shifting gears. I gave the leaves 2 coats of thicket green, and the acorns, that they also needed 2 coats of that tan color. And then I grabbed my all of my fall colors, the oranges and reds and burgundies, and yellows, and I started going at the leaves. I just was wiping them back and painting all of the different colors. And when you're painting these kinds of leaves, these fall leaves, you don't have to paint each one the entire leaf. You just do pieces of them. So I did. So I painted half of a leaf on one, and then I came in and I just kind of swiped on another. It was really a lot of fun. I looked at some pictures online for inspiration, and there was no right or wrong way to paint these fall leaves. So at this point, the leaves were really kind of dictating the way that this project was going to go, and then that black and white on the pumpkin just absolutely did not work anymore. So before I painted the pumpkin, I came in with this twine ribbon and I just wrapped it around the base. So my pumpkin has a coat of sealer on it already, and now I'm going to come in and I'm going to paint it orange. But I don't want it to be vibrant orange, so I'm just taking my paints and mixing them up so that it's muted a little bit to give it a more earthy look. And I'm going to give the pumpkin 2 coats of paint. You can see the black and white from the tissue underneath it, and I'm okay with that. And you can see the wrinkles, which I'm really okay with. I just really like that effect, and I think it will lend itself well when I come in to antique it a little bit. So once my pumpkin was dry, I went in with fresh eyes and I was looking at the base, and I really felt like it needed to be embellished just a little bit. So I took out the Fleur DeLis mold again, that IOD Fleur DeLis mold, and I am just going to cast some of those little pieces and just attach them to the corners. I'm going to give them a coat of black paint, and then I'm going to come in with my black glazed medium that I am going to rub all over the pumpkin. I used Folk Art tintable glazing medium mixed with black craft paint, and I'm just wiping it on the pumpkin. I'm going around and I'm trying to be careful because even though I have sealer down and I can, have flexibility to wipe back if I want to, it's still tissue paper under there, so you kind of be a little delicate. And as I'm painting and wiping back, I am noticing that I can still see the black and white underneath it, which is giving it a great vibe. I wouldn't have even thought. And also the tissue paper is kind of crinkly, which is looking great. It's giving a really cool effect. Once the pumpkin was dry, I went back in with my orange paint and I just gave a light brush over the top of it just to highlight the top parts of the pumpkin. And then I also went in and I just kind of brushed over those little embellishment pieces to give them a little pop. Now I'm coming in with these floral wires that I got from Hobby Lobby. I have green and I have brown. And what I'm doing is I'm wrapping it around the stem, and I am going to continue to wrap until I get all the way to the end, and then make it kind of fade, like as if it was a vine just being wrapped around the stem. And then I'm going to grab the other ends and I'm going to use my paintbrush and I'm going to just twist it around and give it those little curlies and make it look like a pumpkin and with some vines coming off of it. So I'm using the brown wire to wrap around the stem and make the curls, and then I come in with the green one and I do the same thing. I wrap it around with my paintbrush handle to give it the little curly effects, and then I'm just kind of playing with it to see what I think looks good, and a lot of fun. Then I'm just going to bend my stem and twist it just to kind of get the look that I'm going for. So just to recap, I took a dollar store styrofoam pumpkin and then I decoupaged it with a napkin, and then I switched gears and added my stem and paint and IOD molds, and I think it looks beautiful. Let me know what you think in the comments.